Excellence, protocol observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. And welcome to the 25th session entitled Foresight, Key Agri-Food Changes Impacting Entrepreneurs, organized by PAFO, an African farmers organization in collaboration with COLEAD. My name is Aimable Twagirayezu. I'm the Programs Officer at Pan-African Farmers Organization. I will moderate this session. And PAFO is a continental organization representing farmers in Africa. We are based in Kigali, Rwanda, East Africa. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, alongside with COLEAD. And this program is organized by the Fit for Market Plus program, which is implemented by COLEAD within the framework of development cooperation between the Organization of Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States, OSP, and the European Union. So kindly be aware that we have simultaneous interpretation. Just look at the globe icon below and select the language that suits you the best. We have interpretations in English, French, and Portuguese. And just remember to use the chat for safe introductions so that we can know whom are we with. And you can also ask questions as the presentations will be made and concerns. And this session will be recorded and will be available on YouTube or information that will be shared on Agri-Innovators. So before the opening remarks, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present with you the agenda of today. So today we have a session, 25th session, as I said, and at the start we will have opening remarks from Mr. Jeremy Knops, who is the General Delegate of COLEAD. Later on, we have Dr. Babafemi Oyewole, who is the CEO of PAFO. Then we have 4 presentations from Mrs. Judith Kipchumba from Kenya, Mr. Augustine Appiah-Kubi from Ghana, Monsieur Noël de la Côte d'Ivoire. We will also have Mrs. Laila Achieng from Kenya. Before we invite Dr. Abdulrazak Ibrahim from FARA and Mr. David Adama from AGRA. And we conclude our session with debate and key takeaways. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Mr. Jeremy Knops, General Delegate of COLEAD, for his remarks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Aimable, and good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all of you joining us today from across Africa and well beyond. So on behalf of COLEAD, of course, I'm delighted to welcome you to this 25th session. What a milestone of the PAFO-COLEAD Innovations Series, which we're proud to co-organize with our close partner, the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO. And the series really started during the COVID period, and it has really become, thanks to this fruitful collaboration with PAFO, a space for dialogue and inspiration, and where we really want and try to create the conditions so that African farmers, entrepreneurs, agri-food innovators can share their experiences and exchange concrete solutions, basically during the sessions, after the sessions, for more sustainable, inclusive and resilient agri-food systems. Now, today's theme was already reminded, so Foresight, Key Agri-Food Changes Impacting Entrepreneurs. It takes us one step further in the direction, in the essence of what we're trying to do in collaboration with PAFO through these series. It invites us to not only look at what is happening today in agri-food systems, so this is something that we usually do, but it also tries, of course, to anticipate what is coming tomorrow, the trends, technologies, and transformations that shape not only Africa's agri-food future, but more broadly our overall agri-food systems. As what we see, of course, across the African continent, that we have a number of specificities when it comes to some structural changes. We have a different pace of urbanization compared to other regions of the world. We have, of course, this is similar in different countries, but we have the emergence, of course, of technologies. Demographic growth is not the same on the African continent than it is elsewhere. Climate change is impacting us all, but not always in the same ways. And generally, we have evolving consumer preferences, and all these elements, some of which are specific to the African continent than others, of course, reshaping how food is being produced, how it's processed, how it's traded and consumed. And we know, following the estimates, that by 2050 we should have around 2.5 billion people on the African continent, with the majority of food that would be predicted to be demanded from more urban kind of consumers. And at the same time, we have very strong climate impacts that we see already today, and that we foresee to be bigger in the future, which directly, of course, impact yields amongst other. And we have food safety and quality requirements, which are, of course, also becoming decisive, more and more decisive for market access. So we feel that it was an important topic to address today, and we feel that basically foresight, capacity to anticipate, it's not only a kind of a luxury or nice to have, but it's really becoming a necessity to enable entrepreneurs, policymakers, business support organizations to anticipate disruptions, detect early signals of change, and most importantly, to be able to transform these uncertainties or these evolving elements into opportunities. What we really want to try to do, and this is something that we try to do through a program such as Fit for Market Plus, is moving really from being reactive to being progressively more kind of strategic shapers of the future. And through the program, through the Fit for Market Plus program, COLEAD is working with farmer-led businesses, agri-MSMEs, of course, to strengthen competitiveness and resilience, to help them become investment ready, adopt sustainable practices, and be more digitally connected. That is really the essence of what we're trying to do, and the broad context, the macro context, is we want this to take place in more equitable and climate smart food systems. So with the collaboration with PAFO, beyond this session, what we really try to do is linking insights during these sessions from entrepreneurs, experts, and researchers with some of the realities that yourselves as participants to these sessions can find, realities of entrepreneurs on the ground. I would like, of course, to thank today the panelists that are with us, to thank you for your time. Today's discussion will see we'll have entrepreneurs, as we always have, who are leading already the way in this transformation of food systems. As we'll also have some thought leaders from institutions, from FARA and AGRA, and we thank you really for being with us, and you are really there to build the foresight capacity needed across the continent. Thank you also to all participants, of course. Please question, share your questions during the session, and imagine together. Let's imagine how these current elements that we'll be talking about, these elements of change, are really shaping agri-food systems. We firmly believe that we need more broadly a lot of preparation and collaboration to overcome the current and future challenges and opportunities that lie ahead of us. So thank you again. Thank you, of course, to PAFO and to Babafemi for this fruitful collaboration, and to the respective teams for the preparation of these sessions. And I wish you all a very insightful session. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeremy Knops, for reminding us the background of this session and highlighting some of the key concerns and expected results of today's session and linking it with what should be the focus and expectations from this session by, of course, acknowledging the participation of panelists and participants in general. Thank you very much, sir. So let's now welcome Dr. Babafemi Oyewole. He's the Chief Executive Officer of PAFO, Pan-African Farmers Organizations, for his remarks. We would like to welcome Dr. Babafemi Oyewole, the CEO of PAFO, Pan-African Farmers Organization.
Thank you very much, Imab. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
can hear you, yes.
Okay. Our distinguished guests, esteemed partners, fellow farmers, entrepreneurs, innovators, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and evening, depending on where you are joining us today. I welcome you all to the 25th edition of the PAFO-COLEAD Innovations Series. Today marks a milestone in our shared journey of learning, exchange, and innovation. Over the years, this platform has become a space where farmers, organizations, private sector actors, researchers, policymakers come together to rethink the future of Africa's agri-food systems. Our theme today is Foresight, key agri-food changes impacting entrepreneurs. It invites us to look ahead. It challenges us to anticipate the profound transformations shaping agriculture and food systems across the continent. From climate change, digitalization, biotechnology, to changing consumer preferences, market disruptions, and geopolitical shifts, the agri-food landscape is evolving faster than ever before. For Africa's entrepreneurs, especially our young entrepreneurs and women innovators, these changes present both great opportunities and serious risks. The winners of tomorrow will be those who can read the signals today, adapt early, and turn emerging challenges into engines of innovation. At PAFO, we believe foresight is not about predicting the future. It is about preparing for it. It is about building resilient and inclusive food systems where farmers are not passive actors, but strategic leaders and solution providers. Through our innovation series, we aim to strengthen the connections between local knowledge and global trends, between science and practice, and between policy and enterprise. We are grateful to our partners from COLEAD who provided technical support, our members, the regional farmers organizations, for their commitment, to our collaborators in the research, development, and private sectors for working this path with us. Your continued engagement makes these dialogues impactful and practical. As we open this 25th edition, let us engage with curiosity, courage, and collaboration. Let us explore how African entrepreneurs, particularly small and medium enterprises promoters, can harness foresight tools, anticipate market and climate shifts, and build competitive, sustainable agribusinesses that feed and transform our continent. Let us use today's session to explore ideas, spark inspiration, and strengthen our shared vision for a prosperous, sustainable, and resilient African agri-food future. As Jeremy have said in his own opening remark, we look forward to the active participation of everyone to make this session lively and enriching. On behalf of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO, I welcome you all to this important session. Together, let us imagine and shape the agri-food future Africa wants and deserves. Thank you. Back to Aimable.
Thank you very much, Dr. Babafemi Oyewole. He is the Chief Executive Officer of PAFO, Pan-African Farmers Organization. for his important remarks. Among other important things, he mentioned the aspects, the elements that should be analyzed better, climate change, technology, innovations, and how we can anticipate the changes that we see or we are likely to see in the future and turn them into opportunities for entrepreneurs and youth, and highlighting readiness and resilience that farmers should have, not being passive actors, but also thanking COLEAD for the partnership and assuring ways that we should explore SMEs to better enhance market and explore ideas. So thank you very much, Doctor, for your insightful messages. Now, it's time to welcome the panelists. But before, I would like to again say to those who joined recently that we are in the 25th session. So you can go to chat, introduce yourselves, tell us who you are, where you are, and maybe what you do. And probably as the presentations will be made, you can also go to the chat and ask questions, share comments, preoccupations, and anything. We will have time to summarize your inputs. So you can also go to the globe icon. We have interpretations both in English, French, and Portuguese, and you can select the language that suits you the best. Now, before welcome our speakers, let me just very briefly share with you the key statistics. I think some of the statistics have been highlighted by Mr. Jeremy, others by Dr. Babafemi. But let's, as we are thinking about agri-food changes, by 2050, over 2.5 billion population in Africa will be there. So this again reminds us the journey we have ahead of us. And among 2.5 billion, 1.2 billion are expected to be in urban population. So it is expected that the urban population will be doubled. And again, over 90 million Africans fall each year for the foodborne diseases. This is according to the FAO last year. Again, it is expected that by 2030, the GDP could shrink by 15% if the adaptation is not accelerated, according to African Development Bank. And last but not least, it is expected that imports already exceed 75 billion USD per year, reflecting the opportunity and vulnerability. So these figures tell us exactly what is the reality on the ground. Now, I would like to invite the speakers, as you are going to share your practical experiences within your respective countries. Tell us the changes in agri-food systems vis-a-vis your interventions. To this end, I would like to welcome Mrs. Judith Kipchumba. She's the founder of Spring Agriventure. Mrs. Judith is an agri-enterprise development specialist, advocating for climate-smart agriculture and champion of youth and gender inclusion in agribusiness. Welcome, Mrs. Judith. Please, you have 10 minutes maximum. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So, hi, everyone. Am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, okay. Yes. Please go on. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this space. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for contributing to our country's key sector, that is agriculture. My name is Judith Kipchumba, founder of Spring Agriventure, founded in Elgeyo Marakwet, part of Kenya. In my early lives, I participated a lot helping my parents in the farm. I saw how they were tilling. I took part in every activity that they were doing, and I saw the power of this agriculture It provided for school fees. It changes the communities. So agriculture is not just an activity, but it is a way of life to our African farmers. It is a science, it's engineering. And so this is where Spring Agriventure grew, to work with these farmers, to help small-scale farmers in rural parts of Kenya to get quality seeds, that is potatoes, get the technologies, the right climate-smart technology, and help them improve from subsistence to commercial enterprises. So the reason for this is just as the way the previous speakers have mentioned, the world is changing. There's a lot of changes, and even the statistics have already been shared that in 2050, the anticipated number of people will be 2 billion. Actually, that is from what it says that every day, 250 children are being born. That is every minute, and every day, 30 to 40,000 children are being born. But as the population grows, the size of land is not changing. So we need to work and think about how do we feed these people, because as the population grows, it means that is another, that is a population to be fed, an opportunity for us as, in agriculture space. At the same time, climate change is a reality in Kenya and even in the world at large. And so from what I've learned, climate change is about too much carbon in the air. But again, this too much carbon is not actually our enemy, but in sense, this too much carbon needs to be taken back to the soil, because everything is formed by carbon. We also, the plants, the animals, and even the human is formed by the carbon. So how do we do this to improve our soil, get good quality produce to feed this nation, get healthier people? And also the other thing is about digitization. AI is here. Things are changing, things are evolving, and this digital era is a great opportunity that can be used to change and help change the narrative. And even as it is 70% of this population, majority of them are youth. So, and I know they have smartphones on their hands. So how do we get these more youth into agriculture and use the real-time information they get from their phones, from the digital space, to make agriculture a better space? So that is where Spring Agriventure is currently. We are creating a one-stop shop for smallholder farmers in the rural parts, but we're not working only with smallholders, but also women and youth. And we are multiplying and supplying quality potato seed. Why potato seed? Is because that is one of the cash crops in my community, and it is also the second most important crop in our country, Kenya. We're also supplying them with other farm inputs, because the same farmer, potato farmer, has cows, has maize. So we are bringing everything in one place. Together with that, we are doing capacity building through demos as we advocate for good soil regenerative agriculture. So we train farmers by seeing, in collaboration with other stakeholders, help these technologies that is in the university that have already been created in other spaces get to the farmer. At the same time, we also advocate and promote the use of climate smart technologies. Besides the training on regenerative agriculture, like minimum tillage, use of crop rotation, we also advocate for use of clean energy like biogas, and also planting trees to get this carbon from our space back to our soil to produce healthy crops. At the same time, using the digital space, also we link farmers to other services that Spring is not able to offer, but can be found within. So using more youth help farmers access these services. So far, our projection looking forward, as mentioned in the theme of this session, is how do we create, grow, and so at Spring, we are looking forward into getting a seed merchant license by KEFIS, that is a registering body in Kenya. we're looking forward to supplying at least 50 tons of potato seed per season, because we are in Kenya, we have 2 rain season, and training at least 1,000 farmers every year, and as well as empowering 40% of these farmers, youth and women, to get more into agriculture, because there are different value chains, the nodes are many, and there's money in agriculture. So if we get these youth to invest in agriculture, we will be able to feed this growing nation. So lastly, our impact. So I founded this organization in 2019, but I was able to register it in 2023 as a company. So far, we've been able to train farmers. So like this year alone, 2025, we were able to distribute 40 tons of potato seed to farmers. We were able to distribute 5,000 tree seedlings to farmers, and including schools. So we also work with schools. We train farmers. We also diversify, and so also show youth other avenues in agriculture that they can able to tap in and invest. And we'll be able to empower households with eight households with biogas system to use clean energy. At the same time, we are still growing, and every day is a learning day as a farmer, as the way we've said things are changing. So we need to invest in ourselves, empower ourselves, and get to know what is happening. So we even go beyond Kenya to learn about regenerative agriculture and even get other mentorship opportunities. So thank you so much for this opportunity. And as I finish, I want to also pass my regards and gratitude to PAFO for the mentorship program, the FAO, the CGA, Cereal Growers Association in Kenya, KENAF, and all the other stakeholders that are working in this space to empower us youth to be better agripreneurs to help our nation. Thank you so much. So in spring, we say seed of quality, growth of change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Judith, for the very brief and concise presentation. Please hold on. Maybe before you log out, you will take around maybe a few questions. But before that session, let me just invite our colleague, Mr. Augustine Appiah-Kubi. He's the founder of Okubis Farms in Ghana. He's a young Ghanaian agripreneur and founder of Okubis Farms in Ashanti region of Ghana, where he has been farming for over a decade. Mr. Augustine, you have maximum 10 minutes for the presentation before we come back to you for some questions. Over to you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you all stakeholders. Please, my name is Augustine Appiah-Kubi. As you all know, I'm the founder of Okubis Farms located in Ashanti region, Ghana. Ghana is the second leading producer of cocoa, and then also the backbone of the country is agriculture. But as at now, there are a lot of agri-food challenges that Ghana is facing right now. Our cocoa production has reduced from 1 million metric tons to 492 metric tons. And then also ginger and then turmeric production too, we are not able to meet the supply since 2023. Meanwhile, there are a lot of demand in the global market. Ghana also faces post-harvest losses. About 30 to 50% of fresh produce go waste, wipe off annually. So with these challenges, there are also additional limited access to financial or finances that prevent young people and women from investing in technologies. Youth are no more interested in agriculture due to a lot of these issues. And now most of the youths are focusing on galamsey due to the increase of farm inputs and then also other stuff too. Together, they are also high loss and then poor financing, making agriculture risk and low return discourage new entrances. Target credit and then storage investment and digital finance can also help us to unlock these women participating in agri-food. What Okubis Farm do is that we integrate an agroforestry model. Currently, our location is the leading producer of ginger in Ghana, but most of the times, the activities that we do throughout the farming, especially causes deforestation, the cutting down of trees and other stuff. So it needs to, it calls for afforestation, where we are replacing the trees with tree crops. So we integrate these high spicy crops with tree crops and then staples, that's cassava, where we aim at we aim at supporting and then we aim at training and then supporting youth farmers and the women farmers to promote production, build climate resilience, and then also reduces post-harvest losses or enhances post-harvest losses through value-added processing. At our climate smart tools that we use, we focus on drip irrigation, mulching, composting, and organic soil management. With this, the ginger and then the turmeric and the cocoa, we are going to add value to the ginger and the turmeric. We outsource and supply the other processing companies with this raw cocoa.
Mr. Augustine, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Because we lost you. Mr. Augustine Appiah, can you hear me? I think he might be facing some connectivity problems. Augustine, are you there? Okay, as we are waiting for Mr. Augustine to come back, I would like just to take this opportunity because I know Judith and Augustine have further engagements very soon, and that probably we may ask a few questions to Judith. Judith, you talked about certified potato seeds and farm inputs. Can you briefly highlight, because I know this is a practice that is being done in most of African countries where there is a need to satisfy the markets with improved seeds. But how do you manage the multiplication and distribution of these seeds from the company level to the farm level? How do you collaborate with the farmers? And again, you talked about digital linkages and market access. We know that some of the challenges that most of companies face is complying with the standards, either national standards, regional standards, continental or global standards. Are you exporting these materials? If yes, what are the challenges? Or how do you overcome these challenges? So just these few questions. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much for the questions. So on the first, how we are doing the potato seed. As I've mentioned, potatoes is the second most important crop to Kenya's economy. But at the same time, it is recorded that less than 5% of potato seed is certified in Kenya. So how we are doing this, we are working with other registered companies. So in my community where I come from, Elgeyo Marakwet, we don't have a seed merchant. And so farmers have to travel to the nearest county, that is Nakuru. And for that distance, it is a bit long and not all farmers are able to access. So how we do this is, one, we collaborate with them. We are able to book, aggregate the sales, the demand or the orders from farmers. And then we go to this certified organization, we book a good number of seed, and then we supply. So that is on the aspect of supplying. So we aggregate orders and then we order the seed and then we supply to farmers. And then on the aspect of multiplication, we have, it is only one body that is registering seed, that is KEFIS, Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service. And so for at the moment, Spring is not a seed merchant, but we are working with other seed merchants that are already registered. So what we do is we are sub-growers of this already registered companies. So, but we stand alone in terms of ensuring that we are able to adhere to all KEFIS standards so that we get this quality seed to farmers. And then lastly, on digital marketing. So actually at the moment, demand is way beyond what we are able to supply. The demand is a lot, and so we are not even able to export. And sometimes we only use, when we are aggregating the orders, we use our digital space, we use the WhatsApp, we use referrals to get farmers to order their services. At the same time, these other organizations are already in a digital space, so we again use the digital space to know who is offering what. We're able to get, enable farmers access this seed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judith. Now, luckily, we can see Mr. Augustine is back. Augustine, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, please. They said my network is down out.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. Can you please briefly continue your presentation, but highlighting the most critical points, because I know we are running out of time and you also have further engagements very soon.
Okay. So some of the key trends that, some of the key mega trends that are shaping African agri-foods is that right now there's a global demand for these products, the ginger, turmeric, cocoa, and an organic inputs. Regenerative and climate smart agriculture is becoming a mainstream. Government and private sectors are still more interested in investing and then expanding agro-processing sectors. Digital tools and then transforming, digital tools are also transforming traceability and training market and then market access. Youth-led agribusiness are also reshaping rural economies. Some of the way forward, our goal is to expand our production sites into 20 hectares farmland, where we are going to integrate this agroforestry model while seeking strategic partnership, investors, and then researchers to strengthen our value chain. We reinforce commitment to reduce carbon emission, empower women and youth, create local processing jobs. The future of agriculture, the future of African agriculture lies on the foresight, innovation, and then inclusion. By Augustine Appiah-Kubi. Please join Okubis farms in shaping a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable agri-food for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Augustine Appiah, for being very much brief as possible. Now, one question. We can see that you are really doing very great, especially if it comes to adaptation and innovation. You are applying various techniques, drip irrigation, mulching, composting, organic soil. Now, my question here is it easier for you because some of these techniques can be applied in some countries, but for the case of Ghana, is it really something very easy, or is you facing some challenges? If yes, how do you overcome these challenges? Because this can be a lesson to many more other companies and associations.
Yes. Currently, the issue now is easy, but the issue now is the acquisition of land for these productions are now being used by these Galamsey people, the small scale mining people, that they are now destroying the land, and then it's not easy with that one. And then secondly, too, with their collaboration with the government and also the district Ministry of Food and Agriculture to partnership with the extension agents, it's possible to reach a lot of farmers, and then farmers are willing to adapt these agricultural practices because of the income generation that they will get from it. Because recently, the price of ginger was increased over more than 150% just from last year. And then now farmers are willing to adapt this agroforestry model to generate two-way income from their particular tree crop farms.
Thank you very much. One more last question to all of you before we let you go. Judith, someone has asked about the types of varieties that you are producing in your company. But I think you said potato, but I'm not sure whether you have other maybe varieties. There is another question on important techniques you're using. So very, very briefly, if you can tackle on those concerns. And as you are addressing those concerns, and sum up if you have any other concern to share with us before you log out. And also, I would like to ask both of you to leave your emails and contacts in the chat box so that the audience who are interested can reach out and engage with you in the upcoming days, because the time is not really enough for us. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much. So yes, there are different varieties of potatoes, but the mostly that we are producing that is liked by farmers is a variety called Shangi. That is what farmers prefer, but we also try our best to introduce farmers to other varieties for diversification and also climate change issues. The other question was on practices we do. Sorry, I don't know French, but I think it was about the practices.
Yeah, important techniques or practices you use, yeah.
Yeah, so we are currently advocating for farmers to use what we call service planting. So that reduces a lot of reduce soil disturbance. So you only plant and do everything at planting season, and then do the management in terms of crop husbandry, but harvest at the end. So that is what we're advocating for. So lastly is to everyone that is here, any stakeholder that is working with you, with this growing nation, let us continue doing what we are doing when it comes to having more youth join agriculture, so that this space we can be able to work together to feed this nation, get a healthy, growing Africa, and transform our agri-food system. Thank you so much for having me. Hope to see you again, interacting more as we change the agriculture space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Judith. Please remember to leave your email or contact, if you don't mind, in the chat box, so that because we can't address all the questions at this session, so there might be further engagements. So, Augustine, before you go, I want to ask you, what would you advise youth, especially we have so many youth across Africa, but who are afraid of starting small? They have ideas, they have projects in mind, but they always say, we can't start. And you can link this with your experiences from Ghana and what you are anticipating in terms of agri-food changes, because this goes hand in hand as we are promoting agriculture.
Thank you, sir. What I would say is I'll use my journey as an example. I started small when I was at the agri college. I used the little amount of money that I was having. There was this small allowances that they were giving. Sometimes it's very hard, but I have to go and do construction work and then add up to these allowances. I started small. The land size that I started was a quarter a plot. It was very small. I generated markets from people, and then through referrals, now I've gotten a lot of customers. With the small that I started, there were people who also helped me out, gave me a lot of opportunities, and then through these opportunities, right now, from the primary production side, I'm able to move from the primary production side to the processing side. Initially, I was just solving just one problem. But the problem that I stated, you can just justify that the major one was cocoa, the second one was post-harvest, and then the last one too was on the shortage of ginger. So I would say that the little ones or the little problem that you as an entrepreneur you can solve, you need to start solving that one first. So solving that one with the next generation, solving that one will help you also get another problems in addition. Like I was into ginger production, I came out and then through a lot of training that I had, that if I add these 3 crops, having 3 crops, maybe in the near future, by 20, 30 years, I'll be having 3 crops. Maybe that I may not be having the strength like this that I'm doing it right now. So that 3 crop will also be helping me. Maybe it will serve as a raw material to other companies, and at the same time I'll be generating income whilst I was not having the strength. And then also, I also added this processing. So with the processing that I added, I found out that now I'm having the raw material. So I can also add the value to it. So now I'm not going to source raw material from anybody. So what I do is I supply these planting materials that I have right now as I'm speaking to most of the farmers, and I don't take money from them. At the end, I guide them through everything, train them, and then at the end, I take the returns in the form of the raw material to process through my agroforestry, through my way of production. So with this one, you can see that if there is no raw material from a farmer, I'm having it. Like not like the other companies that they buy the raw material. If the farmers don't have the raw material, the company is not working. So it's just from the bottom. I started from the primary production. I added the 3 crops, and then now I'm also heading towards to complete the processing. So now I have.
Thank you.
That is.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Augustine Appiah. Thank you very much, Judith Kipchumba, for your impressive presentations and concerns. Please leave your contacts. Yes, I saw it. They may reach out to you, and we wish you the rest of the day as we continue our session. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Now let's continue. We still have 2 more presenters and 2 panelists.
I would like to invite Mr. Noël Angesan, who is a bioprocess engineer with experience in energy and nutrient recovery from organic waste. He founded with Louise Antonia Bayzevel, LONO, an engineer and SME based in Côte d'Ivoire that makes carbon and nutrient recycling accessible to farmers. Mr. Noël, you've got the floor. You've got 10 minutes maximum. Good morning, good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. The topic that we are dwelling upon here is innovation and success in biofood, the main changes that could have an impact on entrepreneurs. I'm going to talk about the key changes in agri-food, climate, environment, and demographics. Considering our organization, we are an environmental engineering company providing an expertise in technical fields and in the input for industrial circular economy. We are a company registered in the Côte d'Ivoire and the Netherlands. We have a team of 20 engineers, technicians, and experts. We produce organic fertilizers and have got a capacity of 1,000 to 100 tons a year. We operate a specialized laboratory that is carrying out analysis on biomass. Here, I'm not going to give you too many details, but what it shows is that ecology is the future of agriculture. We have to increase the circularity of minerals. We are very worried about what the content of what is present in our fruit and vegetable, but not in what we find in husks, peels, etc. And we have to pay great attention to the traceability and the circularity. In the Ivory Coast, more than 3 million tons of carbon a year are not being traced. They end up in the soil, in the environment, and this carbon could be used in agro-industry, and that's what we're working on. We talked about the problems, growth, demographics. It has been said that the population is increasing in Africa, but on the other continents too, and it is therefore of utmost importance to put forward proposal. We suggest to work in agro business together with aggregators who are already present, are already operators, are industrials being transforming their activities. Aggregation is important, and we can't do it all. Some actors should be able to develop in order to reach an economy of scale and more rapidly through the sharing of income. Second challenge, climate change. We have very clear challenges and consequences on our activities, but we have also opportunities that can be used. The development of new agricultural models and the training of farmers on very different practices. As the certification is necessary and is expensive, we try to improve that process. We also have a problem linked to soil depletion. We have to talk about opportunities, but we have to adopt our agroecological practices using compost, biochar, digestate. The use of fungi are an advantage to agricultural activities. The conventional model of agriculture. You here see the use that's been made, the compost production side and the production of biochar. We're working together with other partners. Here you have got papaya, and we produce compost and biochar from fruit waste. Many trials have been carried out that were not fruitful, but this model that we have managed to develop is quite fruitful in different sectors. Apart from what has been mentioned by the previous speakers, we have figured out that the farms can create a high level of added value. And as we said, I would have liked to take more time. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Noël. If you could stay for a while, we could have different questions.
I'm just now inviting the last speaker, who is Mrs. Laila Achieng. Achieng is the CEO of CNS Nutri Foods who is a seasoned entrepreneur and business leader with more than 18 years of experience in agribusiness, logistics, and international trade. Mrs. Laila, are you there? Mrs. Laila, are you with us?
Sorry. Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So please go on.
Very well. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Laila Achieng, as I've been duly introduced. So just maybe just introduce myself a little better. So I am an entrepreneur, but I've also worked for about 18 years in the fields of supply chain logistics and in international trade. So today we'll just quickly jump onto what the topic that we're focusing on is. I think before starting, for me, the approach that I chose to take this time was more of a strategic level. So just speaking on behalf of entrepreneurs, from what my experience has been since I started the entrepreneurial journey, and what I see or foresee as the future for entrepreneurs, and what we can do to just make our experience better and encourage more entrepreneurs to come on board. When we come across the word foresight, I wonder what comes to mind. For me, first time I saw foresight, I thought of, is it the ability to predict, right? Is it the ability to predict? Is it the ability to be able to foresee things that people don't see? So in a way, that's true. But in this context, in the context of agribusiness and in the context of the journey and the experience of entrepreneurs in Africa, it is more about preparing for the future and building systems today for tomorrow. Okay, so we'll just quickly jump into my presentation today. So we're talking about Africa. And for Africa, really what we have, especially in the decade that we are looking ahead to, is to build resilience and competitiveness. Okay, so we know that Africa is the hub of, food. The world literally depends on Africa to provide and supply it with food. And as we've seen also outside of Africa, our own population is growing. There's already been talk of a projection of the African population getting to about 2.5 billion. So what does that tell us as entrepreneurs? And how do you interpret it as an entrepreneur? It means that, anybody who's venturing into the agribusiness space should see this as an opportunity that is only growing, 2.5 billion, and I'm sure in the coming years, it will even be more. But, while we have this in terms of just the number, in terms of our population as the opportunity, what are some of the, what does the agribusiness or agri-food landscape look like today, sorry. So one of the things that is very common with us or with people in the agri-food space is the climate pressures. Okay, so we know that there's climate change. And of course, outside of climate change, we already face a lot of resource stress. Do we have enough land? With a growing population, are we going to grow the land or the space that we are currently farming in? So what does this call for? So this is just to, whatever we are calling this disruption or these pressures that we're talking about, we should look at this as entrepreneurs and think of, okay, what solutions can we come up with? And then there's urbanization, which I think, regardless of where you come from across Africa, we do know that, currently almost everyone is moving to the urban areas. And so this is not only putting more pressure on what is farmland, because we are leaving less and less people in agricultural spaces. So who's going to feed us? Okay. And outside of that is also consumer evolution. So today, everyone is focused on, we want to eat healthy foods. Okay, we also want to almost be able to trace back the source or origin of our foods. We want to know, was it produced naturally, or was there the application of chemicals, etc. Okay, so all of that, and of course now when you're talking about maybe the export space, there is a lot of
Excuse me, Laila. So
yeah.
because you had 10 minutes, I didn't maybe mention, so you will need maybe to be sticking on the key. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, don't worry, I'll manage. So ethical sourcing is also one of the things that is key, especially when you're talking about exports. And then tech disruption, the evolution of AI, digital acceleration. So how can we take advantage of all of this? So these disruptions are disruptions that as entrepreneurs we should not fear. We should look at them as signals that guide us towards smarter, more sustainable entrepreneurship. And together with these signals, what are some of the, this is just, I've just put like pictures or visuals to help us appreciate what we are currently dealing with. So we have health-driven consumers. We then need regenerative or circular systems, so that with that, then we are able to give back more to the land than we're taking away from it. Supply chain resilience is key. Because how do we connect our produce or the world to what we have as Africa? And then the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, single unified market. So with time, even within Africa alone, we'll have like, a sizable market. Then AI and digital integration is something that is also coming in so strongly. So how can we leverage on that to position ourselves as Africa as, the place to go to, and also, be able to foresee what is coming in the future. Now, quickly to our journey as CNS Nutri-Foods. Our journey reflects, the journey of most African entrepreneurs. Anybody who's coming to the entrepreneurship space know that, we have to almost navigate today's realities while keeping our eyes on the future, on tomorrow, despite all the challenges that we face already. So ours is we are connection to the global markets. We connect farmers to global markets. That is simply what we do. At the moment, if you see my visuals, it's almost like a step system. So at the extreme left is what we do today. So we are fresh produce exporters, avocados, cashew nut, mangoes. Then our vision is to move on to value addition, to preserve shelf life, and transform and increase revenue. Then we'll go to nutrition innovation. I'm a food scientist by training as well. So biofortification to combat malnutrition and chronic diseases. And then, of course, sustainable growth. That is what we seek to do. To be able to achieve that, we cannot do it without partnerships. So, and, we acknowledge as entrepreneurs that, true foresight begins with acknowledging where we are and envisioning where we can go and where we want to go. So we do face the usual SME challenges, financing, infrastructure gaps, capacity gaps. But how we've been able to forge forward is by working with partners and with people who can do what we can't. Okay, and obviously reaching out for support to be able to help us to scale and, include as many participants or as many parties in our business to just make sure that we achieve what we want to achieve. Now, in addition to CNS Nutri-Foods, which is I'm the CEO, I also run a company in logistics, and that is my training. But bringing the two together has really positioned us in a very advantageous place in terms of just being able to reach global markets, being able to connect. We are making use of AI and data analytics in our logistics organization. We are also helping other importers and exporters, especially exporters, for export readiness and compliance support. And we are connecting farmers to processors. So logistics innovation is a bridge between African farmers and global consumers. So the power of foresight helps us see tomorrow and act today. So we have data foresight that gives us better planning and climate resilience. We can lead in innovation as SMEs. So this is just, I'm just winding up. I have one last slide. But as entrepreneurs, if you're listening to us today, we can actually lead innovation if you're equipped with the right tools. And of course, being equipped with the right tools means that you also understand where your vision is, where you're going, and reach out for help and partnerships wherever needed. So Foresight turns as uncertainty into opportunity. So ours is to invest in value addition, partnerships, deepen data integration, champion inclusive growth, and institutionalize foresight. So my last slide, just simply says the future of Africa's food system belongs to those who can see the signals of change early and act with vision. So that would be it for us. And, just to encourage all of us that entrepreneurship is not easy, especially in the African context, but it's doable. And, supporting parties like COLEAD, PAFO, and all the participants who are listening with, when we work together as Africans, then we definitely will forge a brighter future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Laila Achieng, for the beautiful presentation, alongside with your colleague Noël. So you presented, despite limited time, you presented quite very well your experiences, what you do, and the aspirations and the attentions to the audience and or actors of agri-food systems across Africa. Now, we have about 54 minutes remaining before the end of our session. Now, we're going, please send your questions and concerns on the chat so that very soon we're going to have discussion and we will share your concerns to the speakers. And I hope, Mrs. Laila, you're still with us, right? And Noël, please stay with us till to the end because there will be questions coming. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Abdulrazak Ibrahim. He's the cluster leader for institutional capacity in the future scenario of the Forum for Agriculture Research in Africa. He's going to share with us some of key insights, initiatives that FARA has been putting in place that are in line with our today's session. Over to you, Dr. Ibrahim.
Well, let me start by thanking FARA and COLEAD for putting together this series and for inviting me to be part of this series and talk today. I understand that the task is to discuss some of the key points earlier presented by the two presenters, but at the same time, I think given the perspective of FARA as a knowledge institution, my presentation will focus more on what has been happening over the past decade around foresight for food systems transformation and our telling the story of our journey of building what we call the Africa Foresight Academy. So as introduced, my name is Abdulrazak Ibrahim. I might look Ethiopian, but I am not definitely from Ethiopia. I'm Nigerian. I lead a cluster in FARA that we call Institutional Capacity and Future Scenarios. So that is where all the work around technology scaling, capacity development, foresight, partnerships, South-South and triangular cooperation strategy are implemented in FARA. For those who might not be very familiar with FARA, I know that many are. FARA is the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, and our partnership configuration is summarized in this slide, where you have GFA at the top there, working at the global level, trying to set the global agenda on agricultural research for development, and FARA is now the technical arm of the African Union Development Agency, AUDA-NEPAD, and African Union, translating political decisions into technical decisions. And if you come down, we work with our sub-regional organizations. Some of them are probably in the room. SROs, that's CORAF, CADESA, Azareka, and NASRO in the different sub-regions. And then you come down to the country, the NARIS, where we translate actions, political commitments like, for example, CADAP, the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program, into tangible actions that really impact on farmers' livelihood in all that march, the march towards attaining what we call the Africa we want, which is encapsulated in the African Union's Agenda 2063. And coming down within FARA, in terms of what we are currently, the strategy we are implementing, it's ending this year. It's about contributing to achieving the CAADP targets, including doubling agricultural productivity, reducing post-harvest losses, tripling intra-Africa trade, and making sure that our constituencies, our different stakeholders at country level, including farmers, private sector, youth and women, but led by the NARIs, they have this increased uptake in the application of science and technology. And one of the tools that has clearly been identified as being very, very relevant is the Foresight tool. And that is why at least over the last 5 years since I took the lead of the Foresight agenda in FARA, we have managed to translate and establish what we call the Africa Foresight Academy. So it is currently in its digital form, an online platform where we have a reach of over 6,000 practitioners, Foresight for food systems practitioners, a sort of community of practice and practitioners setting agenda, helping countries in conducting foresight analysis, setting the foresight processes themselves, ensuring that countries, our member states, have strengthen the capacity to apply foresight in the way that they implement their NIPes, National Agricultural Investment Programs. But in addition to foresight, we do other things, as you can see from the slide here. We are part of the TAT ecosystem. So this is a program funded by the African Development Bank, which is about scaling technology. And within it, what is the connection between foresight and TAT program is the fact that we establish innovation platforms at countries. So for example, the gentleman from Ghana who has a farm might be part of an innovation platform focusing on the particular commodity of, let's say, it could be cassava, it could be rice, but where we bring all the different actors, multi-stakeholder approach. So not just the farmer, but scientists, farmers, policymakers around a commodity, around a problem that should lead to agribusiness. In that way, ensuring sustainable transformation. And then there are other programs as shown in the slide. We have a fellowship program about strengthening capacity in different fields, including foresight. We are also in the seed sector. We're the Secretariat of the African Union's African Seed and Biotechnology Partnership Platform. And we also lead a program around rewarding excellence with Afrexim Bank. So this here, just to give us a general overarching framework within which we try to contribute. We are all contributing to the Sustainable Development Goals and to the African Union Agenda 2063. We just came back from Kigali, where we participated at the 21st CAADP PP meeting. So there, we held a side event that was particularly about foresight, mainstreaming foresight, and there's a lot of discussion now around institutionalizing foresight at the African Union level. I will tell the story about how FARA has, since 2012, been involved and trying to really take up that space of strengthening foresight capability on the continent. So working with various partners, for example, the FAO has what it calls FOFA dashboard. FOFA is the future of food and agriculture, DTT, drivers and triggers of transformation. So this is a series of studies that's conducted to identify key drivers and triggers of transformation, 18 of them, but some being more relevant to others as the case may be. Sometimes some of these drivers and triggers, when identified, what is a driver what is a driver of priority for Nigeria, for example, might not be for Madagascar. So we've been holding regional foresight exercises, country foresight exercises, contributing to accelerating the implementation of the AFCFTA and ensuring CAADP commitments to healthier diets, UN food systems sustainable the framework, and also ultimately supporting countries to plan to apply foresight in the way that they implement their NIBs. So again, just to briefly take you through the journey that I've mentioned, the idea of foresight in Africa and establishing the African chapter of the Global Agricultural Foresight Academy started in 2012 in Dublin, where a team of experts really met together and decided, look, there's this paucity of capacity of foresight everywhere, but particularly in Africa. So let's come together and, put the idea of Africa feeding Africa, but applying some of the really very critical tools such as foresight. So in 2013, a chapter of that foresight was launched in Accra. Then we conducted a series of situation analysis, and by 2018, FARA, with funding from FAO, we managed to train the first cohort of young professionals from different countries, and these have today evolved to become foresight practitioners, foresight experts, and foresight facilitators. This culminated, you can read through, but I just want to say that this culminated in the establishment of 20 country foresight hubs today, 13 in the CORAF sub-region. So working with CORAF, we have managed to train 13 focal persons in each country, and all of them, each one of these focal persons are located within a NAS of their domain. So in Burkina Faso, in Nigeria, Ghana, and so on. And we use that same model with CADESA, that's in the Southern Africa sub-region, to establish similar community of practice and focal persons, 7 of them. We are currently discussing on how to really do that in Eastern Africa. But what is also important is to say that Kenya, for example, is one of the countries in Africa where we have a lot of capacity, a lot of people really doing a lot of things on foresight. And, here just to share with you, in the overall FARA's goal of strengthening institutional capacities for future scenarios and analysis, we have really managed to score some points with some very tangible and impactful results. We have knowledge products that we've published. We have trained several young people. Over 2,000 people were taken through courses, online courses that we have been administering in partnership with the Foresight for Food initiative at the Oxford University. Currently, then we also have worked with FAO to unpack that FOFA DTT study in different countries to analyze them and conduct real-time foresight analysis in Nigeria, Kenya, and Madagascar. The idea is to scale it across all the different countries. We are also currently implementing a project around measuring the impact of foresight within the food system. So what does it mean if I go to a country and implement a foresight exercise around, let's say, the banana value chain, or maybe youth employment, or mainstreaming gender in agricultural practice? How do I measure the impact of foresight in that sense? So we are developing a guide that can help practitioners to commission, implement, and evaluate foresight. And we have been engaging with various stakeholders, and the guide, when it is published, will be a practical tool for anyone involved in food systems and foresight in Africa to design and implement and evaluate foresight exercises effectively. We're doing this with funding from IDRC and in partnership with Oxford University. through their initiative on Foresight for Food Systems, Foresight for Food initiative. There's a website for the Africa Foresight Academy, where we currently have a reach of over 6,000 different stakeholders, most of them from Africa, interested in foresight practitioners, enthusiasts of foresight. So more and more interest is picking up, and there's more convergence and cross-talking between the UN food system focal persons at country levels and those 20 hubs that I mentioned. And it was in the context of that discussion that we now have received a call by the African.
Excuse me, Doc.
Yes.
We have a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be rounding up. So we're discussing with the African Union to institutionalize foresight, African Union-led foresight agenda. We are planning a very high-level continental workshop that's probably taking place between the 24th to 28th of this month in Nairobi. Probably some of us here in the meeting will be invited to that meeting, but the idea is to institutionalize foresight at the level of the African Union. And that workshop is supposed to come up with a number of deliverables, including institutional readiness, a Continental Charter for Africa foresight. So these are some of the points I wanted to share, and I thank you very much for your time and for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim Abdulrazak from FARA for insightful and beautiful presentation. Please stay with us. We will come back to you for some questions.
Sure.
Now, allow me to welcome Mr. David Adama, who is a senior specialist for continental and regional engagement at AGRA. AGRA is Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa. So he's going to be our last speaker, panelist, before we go to discussion. Over to you, Mr. David.
Aimable, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well, yeah.
Okay, so for me, listening to the conversation where we started from the opening remarks that were made, we've looked at the issues around what will be those trends, what will be those trigger, and what are the things that we need to take advantage of, like Babafemi had talked about, and what are the things that both farmers organizations, young people, private sector would need to really look at. And Babafemi made reference of those who are quick, who act now, are the ones that will definitely be able to benefit from this trend, and also because it's both a positive one and also a negative one if we are not able to take advantage of what we're seeing. We're talking about urbanization, we're talking about youth growth, the whole issue around digitization, the climate shocks we're seeing. One of the other things that I think one was picked up, the issue around food safety is one, the issue around the intra-Africa trade. How do we take advantage of a big market that is up for us in Africa? But the other thing that we also need to look at is the policies that will inform and guide some of these things, the trends we're looking at. If we are not looking at shifting regulations, policies, and all of that, we may just know of these things, have the foresight, the trends, and yet we are not making any progress or taking advantage of this. So for us at AGRA, I think when we look at the issue around urbanization, there are a few things that comes to mind that we support and also expect that the farmers and other partners are able to take advantage of. One is when we look at the Kampala-Cardiff strategy and action plan, it is really the first objective talked about agro-industrialization and all of that. Agro-industrialization will happen. And around agro-industrialization, there are several components of those things that we will need to support. But more so, with the changing climate and everything we're seeing, it's going to be imperative that we take advantage of the regional complementarities. What is it that we can learn from the ECOWAS region? What is it that we can learn or take advantage of from the COMESA, SADC region and all of that? So the conversation we are looking at right now is around the food corridors, where we are able to take advantage of what the different regions have and be able to build around the moving food from areas of surplus to area of deficit. Because if we're talking urbanization, then we need to start thinking and we need to start planning for that. So the food corridors, the food basket idea is one that we're already working and partnering with the regional economic communities, the African Union, to be able to take advantage of. Apologies, please. So the other is around markets. Access to market is going to be a big thing. And how are farmers able to move their product from one region to another? How are you able to, with the whole NTBs, the non-tariff barriers and all of those that are happening, what do we need to do? It means that we will need to be looking at policies around market access. We will need to be looking at issues around working with countries at different levels in terms of building mutual recognition agreement, such that Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, based on a mutual recognition agreement, they're able to say products that are moving from this part of Kenya doesn't need to go through all of this. So these are things, market will be a big element at that point. So how do we address the barriers that we are seeing? The other issue we're also working around to respond to some of this trends is investing in improvement of border posts. With the mutual recognition agreement, if border posts are working with digital tools, instruments, and all of that, then it's easy around the issue of traceabilities and all of that. The other thing that also with urbanization will also come the issue around food safety. So what do we need to do? What are farmers doing? Because for you to be able to access other markets, you will need to also take seriously the issues of food safety. For us at AGRA, we have also supported 11 countries to be able to develop what we call the Food Safety Master Plan that aligns with the African Union Food Safety Master Plan, but also other instruments that have been put in place. So we've also been able to support the African Union to develop what we call the Food Safety Data Hub that is going to be providing live, up-to-date, real-time food safety data and information that supports market, but also looks at addressing the whole foodborne disease, which is also crippling the markets, the resources of impacting on the resources of farmers through the loss as a result of food safety rejection in food products at border posts and all of that. So that would be a key thing that we will need to look at. So AGRA is already investing in that. Around the whole youth growth urbanization also, AGRA is investing, working with the African Union to be able to develop what we call the Youth in Agri-Food Performance Index that is going to also be providing data information for planning for policy design and all of that, ensuring that we are able to use evidence for youth policies targeting, benefiting young people, but also ensuring that they are part of this process. So as we move forward, what are those things that we will need to look at? Also, just lastly, before I go into closing, is the issue around, as farmers organization, we've been talking with PAFO around the whole issue of the opportunities that lies ahead, the market that is there. And so one of the things that we're also doing, supporting this process for farmers to be able to take advantage of the future, the trends and all of those, is the whole farmer professionalization that we are working with PAFO and 4 regional farmers organizations to be able to support this process, build platforms, youth platform inclusive, such that we're able to provide access to information. Young farmers can have access to information that then helps them to be able to take advantage of the market and the changes, the trends in the whole agri-food system conversation. So as we close, my parting word would be that there are, when you talk about partnership and investment to institutionalize foresight and innovation, we will need to look at policy backed at national level. What are we doing around that area? The other element I've not had time to talk enough about is the issue around blended finance that enables farmers to be able to have access, because with all of these opportunities, farmers will definitely need resources to be able to get into this. So one of the things we've also been able to do is work with the African Union to be able to put a guideline on agri-food system financing for the whole of the continent, where we expect that working with countries, we should be able to develop what we call the Agri-Food System Finance Policy Accelerator Facility that is focused, targeting youth and women agripreneurs in particular. But countries may choose to take advantage of how they want to do their design. We've done this, it's a study we finished. Now we have the guidelines, which has been approved by the Specialized Technical Committee of Ministers of Agriculture, Rural Development, Water 2 weeks ago. So this, for me, will be things that we need to take into consideration, we need to take advantage of, and be able to run with the time and get the best out of this foresight we're seeing being taken into implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Adama, for insightful presentation on actually what you do at the AGRA and highlighting key concerns and focuses and areas to be underlined. It's really very, very important. And I want to now, we're going to have about 15 to 20 minutes for exchange.
The question has been asked about the production aggregates and aggregation. What are the techniques that you are using in order to do so? Second question, how can we highlight the traceability of biochar and residues of waste? These are questions that you could answer rapidly. Do not have a waste when coming to biochar production. So if there is no biochar waste, there is no traceability. There is a traceability of carbon that is contained in biochar, and there you can organize a certain traceability that is based on a series of standards. There are standards, there are monitoring systems that are implemented alongside those standards to be able to certify the traceability. As to the certification of a fertilizer, we have a farmers production, we aggregate their activities and distribute intrants. Let's take the example of corn. when you work with a corn mill operator, it is easier to provide services to a high number of farmers planting corn and promote the collaboration with those mills. And that is what we mean when we talk about agriculture. And the same holds true for cassava and other produce. In your presentation, you talked about climate change and said that you have to include the opportunities for recycling and the reuse of carbon in biofertilizers. When it comes to recycling, I think this is a very important activity in your country as well as in other African countries. Could you tell us a few words about your experience, the techniques that are used, and the possible challenges you faced up with? That was my whole presentation. I told you about strategies that are being implemented to recycle organic waste and industrial waste. I saw the link that you circulated and disseminated with the farmers. We have the agricultural level and the industrial level, and depending on the country, and I think that these models are applicable to all levels, from household to industries. It is very true in agriculture, and depending on agricultural models in the different countries, and depending on the way the value chains are organized, the waste are managed differently. Should we supply recycling services to farmers in order to process the waste into fertilizers and then supply farmers with those fertilizers? This depends on the feasibility and the context, the background. What evolved greatly are carbon certification possibilities and the use of biochar. Those are novelties that are implemented on a large scale, and I think that people should get informed to avoid not being able to take advantage of those possibilities. There are possibilities. Thank you very much, Noël. I hope you stay with us for a few more minutes.
Address some questions to Mrs. Laila Achieng. Laila, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm still here.
Okay. There has been some questions addressed to you. What is the foresight perspective for regions in Africa that currently grow horticultural or trees crops, but may soon no longer have sufficient water? So should they start planning to shift to other sectors, such as tourism, extensive agriculture, or perhaps livestock farming with more climate resilient species? What is your view? What is your observation on that?
That is a tough one. that is a tough one because I don't want to be misquoted for having
Tough
given
questions are for tough people, tough ladies.
That's true. That's true. That is a tough one. But I think what I see more like in our country, in Kenya, for instance, there's definitely regions that, have more rain than others. There's regions that even the water body is, slightly raised or higher or easily reachable, even when like seeking to dig like wells and etc. So from the Kenyan landscape, avocado farming, for instance, because avocado is one such fruit that or tree that consumes a lot of water. You find that it is more planted towards the central. I've seen Rift also going more towards avocado farming. And whenever we have regions like the Eastern region, which is more water deprived, then you find that, farmers, maybe through the help of financiers and sometimes government, go into digging wells. So I personally would not say like, let's get discouraged and let's run away towards the more you know, not heavily water reliant crops, but I would say that one needs to maybe just assess where they are, okay? Because if really you're in a region where you know water is becoming a problem and in the future you probably may not be able to be as productive as you thought you'd be, then one of the things is adaptation. So yes, depending on where you are, you may want to think of the future, because even in terms of entrepreneurship, we do know that as entrepreneurs, you can start today, build a business today, but if you fail to change and innovate and, you know, sometimes transition into other areas or diversify, then you might be caught unawares. So yeah, I would say yes and no, but depending on where they are. But
Thank you very
foresight,
much.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. During your presentation, you said that you are a fresher produce exporter, exporting avocados, cashew nuts, mangoes. And one of the things that we are anticipating is that in agro-food systems, the export goes hand in hand with compliance, with standards. I mean, how do you manage, or which challenges do you face in terms of export, and what should be the preoccupations for policymakers, private sector, and looking at maybe within 5, 10, 15, 20 years to come, what should be really a backbone for negotiations and discussions?
Okay, I think one of the things that we need to do more of, how my businesses are positioned themselves is I'm more of a connector. Perhaps call myself aggregator and exporter. So I have market linkages in you know, outside of Africa and within Africa, and I work in collaboration with farmers. So I will maybe address it from two levels in terms of how do we help farmers to produce more of, you know, acceptable products that would be exports, what do you call it, export certified or export ready, and that is through technical support. So a lot of farmers, we know that farmers in the rural areas may not be aware of what the European continent, for example, in terms of customers may be looking for, quality wise. So without us as the exporters, and of course the bodies that run and govern exports, for example in Kenya, AFA and Horticultural Crop Directorate, we need to go back and support farmers. So for us as entrepreneurs, one of the things that we do is to partner with technical support teams to ensure that whichever farmers will be getting in touch with, they get the needed technical support. They are made aware of what they need to do so that their product is not rejected. And on the other hand, for that to happen, then there needs to be funding. So that is the other challenge that we face, because how are we going to pay these people to support the farmers? So also partnering and looking for, you know, engaging as much as possible with likely financiers, you know, seeking out partnerships. So that's how we do it. So support on the farm end and looking for partnerships to fund these initiatives. And also for policymakers is also just ensuring that we do not introduce barriers to trade as opposed to facilitating trade, because sometimes there are some regulations that will be introduced even locally that are self-defeating, that are maybe not necessary to support farming and to support exports. So just looking at, you know, what initiatives can actually grow and not shrink the sector.
Thank you very much. Please stay with us. Maybe we have one last round of key insights. Now, let me address to the representative of FARA, Dr. Ibrahim. Now, you have presented this very important and good initiative, which is Africa Foresight Academy, where you say you have so far 6,000 partners or stakeholders. But we can just wonder, as an agri-food entrepreneur, how can one collaborate with FARA on this initiative? What are the requirements? What are the processes? And just describe a bit on this initiative quite so that we can know, and so that we can also go together in this initiative.
Right. So thank you very much for that question. I think the partnership with FARA is already a given. You know, PAFO, for example, is already part and parcel of FARA. I think PAFO has a representative at the highest level on the FARA board. So all farmers are by default members of the forum. They're also part of the General Assembly of FARA. And so there are different entry points for different entities. If it's at the country level, naturally those countries working within the core sub-region are by default part of the process. Those in Azareka, they're working, if you work with Azareka, you're literally working with FARA. But in terms of Foresight, we regularly post opportunities. Every month, FARA posts on funding opportunities, including Foresight. We have a discussion group where partners can join and be part of different discussions. And sometimes they're invited to participate in our various either training or workshops. So what I will do is I will include the link to the Foresight Academy, the community of practice that we have in the presentation. I'll share with you, and then so that you can upload and update in the file that you will share with the audience.
Thank you very much. The last one, do you think you have been working on this initiative for some years, is it possible to imagine that some regions of Africa are under the severe pressure of climate change, for example, due to disappearance of sufficient water resources, might consider shifting their main economic activity away from agriculture towards other sectors?
So I will give you the same answer I gave earlier. This is a tough one also.
For tough people.
Yes. As it is currently, agriculture remains the economic mainstay of all African countries, really. Although we have these other extractive economies like petroleum and so on, but you know, agriculture still remains the largest employer. We have the largest arable land globally. We have the highest volume in terms of water that can be exploited. So I think I would say we have to find a balance, you know, what we would call sustainability, a balance, trade-off for sustainability. I think that's the term used. And this is, in fact, why Foresight is really very important, because countries need to undertake multi-actor foresight activities to really come to a conclusion on the path to take in terms of imagining possible scenarios and looking at the drivers and trying to see where to tinker so that a desired food system future is designed. All right, so it's not a give, or this is not an all or nothing rule. It's not a magic bullet to solve the problem, but somehow Foresight, I think, can help countries to shape the kind of futures that they want. And I do not see us shifting away from agriculture in any near future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim. Now, to Mr. David, you are more, AGRA is more on the policy. You have been assisting farm organizations, private sector, policymakers. Now, what do you see, especially in terms of policy, as a backbone to address these agri-food changes? We are seeing a Kampala Declaration coming, starting from next year, the implementation. But still, people are not seeing how it's going to be different practically from Maputo, Malabo. What do you see that should be at the core hard changes, agri-food changes from continental to national levels, so that we can really see the impacts at the grassroots level?
Aimable.
Yes, David, go on.
Okay, so what would happen and what will be critical as we talk about the question around the backbone of changes, or what needs to happen differently. There are a few things. First of all, we need to recognize around the conversations we're having right now. And farmers' organizations have been called out with other stakeholders specifically to be able to take advantage of the new the Kampala Strategy and Action Plan. What is different? From Malabo, we talked about agriculture. In Kampala, we're looking at the issue around the whole agri-food system. And that's why today we're talking about the issues around urbanization. We're talking the issues about digital technology innovations and all of that. We've had the issue around design of national agri-food system or agriculture investment plans that were not implementable because it was just something that countries were expected. Once you develop the plan, that was good enough, and you tick a box to say, oh, you have your compacts available. That's not the case. We expect that there will be country political ownership of this process. So what are the things we're expecting to see from countries? The document already has identified the issue around having this enshrined in national development plans, such that the ministries of finance have visibility of what we're talking about, because we realize that most times or across board, the Ministry of Agriculture has not been able to communicate the whole CADIP agenda by itself. So can we get this into the national development plans with clear flagships that contribute to the whole of government agenda, such that the ministers of finance have full visibility of what the whole food system is supposed to look at? We're talking about having strong communication and advocacy, and this is where farmers' organizations, civil society organizations, and the rest of us come in to be able to raise that voice, but also raise the issues around what are the things that are critical. It's not going to be business as usual. We want governments to use evidence. We just worked with the African Union around the Youth Agribusiness, Agri-Food Performance Index I talked about, across a few countries. And many of the countries that have been part of the pilot came back to us to say, we did not realize that government did not have disaggregated data. And this were the National Bureaus of Statistics talking and reporting. So the question we had raised, or we raised in one of the conversations during those validation, was, so what has government been using to design youth-led or youth-focused program? It has just been someone sit and assume that there are these problems and all of that. So we're saying the use of data, and that's where the whole Foresight conversation comes in to play. So in terms of what needs to change, there are 4 key things that would need to change in the Kampala era, and that includes leadership coherence. We need to have leadership at the highest level. We need to have multi-sectoral council of ministers, private sector, farmers' organizations, civil society represented at that level to be able to promote a shared vision, build partnership, and the private sector inclusive, and ensure that things are done. The second element is around what we're talking about, the use of data, analytics. Government will need to get into this based on plan, and then the investment design in terms of flagship, not just listing everything. What is it that you have that the private sector can invest in? Then we need to build a strong mutual accountability element where farmers' voices are heard, where farmers are holding government to account, civil society are doing the same, and we're also holding our parliamentarians to account on what they are doing in terms of the whole of government ownership of this document. So these, for me, are the key things that we will need to re-emphasize as we move on into the Kampala era CAADP implementation.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. I think that's very awesome. That's very important. Now, we are almost at the end of our session, but before we close, I would like just to give each panelist and presenter just 1 minute, don't go beyond 1 minute, and summarize or share anything that you didn't share before, or focus or underline what you have talked about as the key takeaways for today's session. Je voudrais commencer par Noël. Dans 1 minute, donnez-nous ce que tu as peut-être oublié de nous partager ou ce que tu voudrais souligner dans notre session d'aujourd'hui. Dans 1 minute, s'il vous plaît. Noël? Noël, tu es encore avec nous? Okay. If Noël is not with us, I would like to address to Laila in just 1 minute. Please summarize what you have been saying, or if there is any other burning point that you didn't share, just as a key takeaway from today's session. Over to you.
Thank you very much. You know, a lot has been said already. And so I think what I've taken away from this session, from the other panelists and from everything that we've had, is that, you know, we cannot downplay the benefit of foresight. Foresight is what is the compass, even for us as entrepreneurs and for anybody really in any supply chain whatsoever, whether you're a trader, whether you're a supplier, whether you're a farmer, there needs to be that benefit of foresight. And this is something that we have to embrace, and as entrepreneurs especially, and looking at the potential that our continent has in terms of our ability to feed the world. We need to encourage, you know, the rest of us who are still not participating in the food or agribusiness or, you know, farming value chain to join us. And of course, you know, we appreciate PAFO, we appreciate COLEAD for giving us these platforms to be able to speak, to be able to engage, to be able to get our voices out there. And I think from where you are, please support entrepreneurs and Africa as a continent in terms of just policy making. And one of the, I think you've had endless outcries from entrepreneurs. We suffer from the lack of financing. So again, if we can get our voices out there and just, you know, work together, partner, and, you know, let's get our continent out there and grow our businesses and grow Africa as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laila. Dr. Ibrahim, in just 1 minute. I know 1 minute is too short, but yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So I'll just highlight 2 or 3 points. Number one, it is clear that we all agree foresight is relevance. We need more sensitization to apply it. We need more capacity to apply it in the way that NIPES are implemented, especially when you look at the fact that Africa is looking within and in the conversation around moving from an import-dependent food supply to one that is local food supply, with an import bill rising every day, as well as carbon emissions increasing with that concomitant rise. We need to close the knowledge gap, and foresight is one of the tools that we can use to really understand what kind of trade-offs countries need to make in order to prepare for the future. And that it is very important, all the stakeholders from AGRA to FARA to African Union, we come together and have a common agenda, a continental framework for advancing what the work that Africa Foresight Academy has been doing, but also trickling down all the way to the country, to the end users, how you can see the impact of applying foresight in food systems transformation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. David, in about 1 minute, what do we retain from today's session?
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and thanks to PAFO for the opportunity to be part of this conversation. I think for me, what I take is a charge to PAFO in terms of recognizing the platform you have and the call to action that has been embedded in the Kampala CADIP Strategy and Action Plan and the Kampala Declaration, the role of farmers, the voice of farmers, and all of that. So it will be important that PAFO can use her platform at the continental, the regional, and national level. You will need to connect with your members at a different level to ensure that these conversations that we're having at this level get to the national level implementation. You will need to also build that capacity to be able to interpret some of this foresight, some of this evidence that are going to be generated by research partners and all of that, and translate them into advocacy briefs that are simple for governments to also use. So it means that investing in capacity around translation, policy translation, such that they are usable, implementable at national level. I would say that lastly, is that policies, as we go into the Kampala era, policies without evidence, without farmers' voices, would lack legitimacy and will fail to scale. On the other hand, farmers' voices without policy has no enforceable force and cannot influence investment. So it means that while you speak as farmers, while you, let's not use the word complain, that farmers do not have a space on the table. Let's take advantage of what we have as farmers' organization. Let our voice be heard. Like I hear most, especially from smallholder farmers group, they usually say, no food, no farmers. No farmers, no nation. So we need to get to that point where we take advantage, we take leadership, and we are all going to be right behind you to support you as much as we can to ensure that farmers' voices are heard and the things that government prioritize are things that are pertinent and beneficial to farmers. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. David, and all the panelists and speakers. I think it's time now to take the key takeaways. So there are so many things that have been discussed. Of course, we can retake so many more others, but from the opening remarks and presentations, our panelists, it's just a reminder that agriculture is still a major source of Africa, of income in Africa. And we also need to see that agri-food systems have been dynamic from decades. So the policies we had in the 2020s, 2010 have been changing from Malabo to Kampala. And now we should also expect many changes impacting all of us, mainly entrepreneurs, based on political situations and the global agenda. So we see what is trending globally. Sometimes they have been influencing our policies. But given the expected population, which has been highlighted over 2.5 billion, we need to have practical changes at the various aspects of policy, partnerships, production. We need to increase the productivity, both in quality and quantity. We need to tackle the issues around the climate change, value chains, exports. We need to look at the challenges that smallholder farmers face in terms of food production, where we expect that 14% of the food production will be reduced by 2050. We need to look at other factors, digitalization, so many other things. So again, it has been highlighted that private sector as one of the sectors that play a paramount role in the process, we need to do differently. We need to scan the environment. We need to do needs assessment. We need to change the models. We need to be strategic. We need to utilize technology, digital integration, AI, which is a trend, and we need to use innovations. We need to have practical researches. Thanks, FARA. Thanks to other research institutions, centers of excellences for your beautiful and important works you do. But we need to have solutions from the researches that are being conducted at different levels. And again, we need to have cohesion and correlation between all actors at different levels. I think it has been mentioned, continental, regional, national. And as David said, from Maputo to Kampala, Kampala seems to be different. So let's all of us play a role, because the commitments are there, but we need to play a role, farm organizations, research, private sector, to domestication, to monitoring and evaluation, to maximization of impact, food security. There are issues about inclusivity, inclusion, investment. We need to work on sanitary and phytosanitary awareness, education. We need to strengthen the initiatives like Africa Foresight Academy. We need to build the capacities. We need to have evidences. I mean, there are so many things we can do together, but we can't do it alone. We need to work as a team. I think this marks the end of our today's session, which was on the agri-food changes that we anticipate to be in the near future. Thank you very much all for your participation, your contributions, your inputs. Thank you very much, speakers, panelists. And yes, you can share your addresses, emails, contacts, so that those who have not been able to reach out for every single concern can have bilateral discussions. Apologies, we could not respond to all the concerns, all the questions, but we are looking to have further engagements and discussions in the near future. So thank you very much on behalf of organizing team, COLEAD PAFO. This marks the end of our today's session. Thank you very much, and have blessings. May God bless you, and have the rest of the days. Thank you very much.